I am the contrarian, and this is my world.
Hi, I'm Saket Modi. We run this organization, a geeky organization which deals with security for a lot of corporates, a lot of government agencies, and I'm here today to take on Rajiv to talk about the very sad breach which happened of the pictures leaking out from the smartphone devices. We're going to talk about it, and I'm of the favor that it's still okay to use your devices if you use it intelligently.
Okay, we're going to get started with this. You saw it. I promised you it'll happen. A phone actually hacked on television, maybe for the first time in the way we showed it to you. Shows you the vulnerability of what you carry in your pocket. You think it's the safest place in the world. The illusion, therefore, leads you to do things with your phone that you would never do before. Why do celebrities have 4.3 naked pictures of themselves on each phone? That I may not be able to answer today. For the rest of it, we have Mr. Modi. Okay, so I'm going to start off first with this whole idea that you were able to demonstrate a phone being hacked, right? And of course, it's not only about the phone. The phone is one device, one vehicle by which we access our digital content.
Sure.
I know we'll talk about all the others, the cloud and a notebook and whatever, between the server and whatever you use. But let's just understand this first. Why do people live under the illusion that I've got a 4-digit password, or I have, like you were saying before, I have a fingerprint password on my phone,
right,
and thus it is Fort Knox?
Okay. So just to answer to this, I would say in my capacity what I understand of the phone, what people generally perceive. Today, a phone is like an extension of your own body. You know, it's no more considered as an external device. When you take the phone in your hand, and as you know, you pointed out, you would never have a picture without you having your clothes on in a desktop on a folder.
Yeah,
because,
I mean, I really want to know. I mean, do people keep nude pictures in their drawer? 4.3 of them. I don't know what the 0.3 is, which parts are getting cut off, but that's the average
That's
that
the
they
average,
found. Unbelievable. I mean, that's an amazing stat. Why do people slip with a mobile phone?
The abstract answer to this, I'll give you in one line, and then we'll come to the specifics. I would say the biggest problem is we're using 21st century technology to implement 20th century business processes which were created in the 19th century business models. So the point is that suppose there are 100 people who are watching this show. The question is, how many people, according to you, would be smartphone enabled? Most of them, 95, 96?
For the kind of people that would maybe watching this show, yes.
Right.
Correct.
So when you say 96 people are aware and using a smartphone, how many of them, if you were to give me a number, have been trained how do they use a smartphone?
Trained to use a smartphone?
Trained to use a smartphone. I know this idea itself sounds so funny.
Can you come back next week? We can have a debate on this. Do you need to be trained to use a smartphone? Should there be a license that you have to carry to actually use a smartphone?
License. So, but the reason why I said this was, I personally carry an Apple, a BlackBerry, and believe me when I say this, I'm sure the same applies for most of people who are watching this, that almost 60 to 70% features which are there on the phone, I don't even use them. Correct. And we have got that, we have seeped into this thing into our life without knowing at least what is right and what is wrong.
So now what? How many different ways can you get hacked? What I mean by that is, one, somebody can crack your password.
Sure.
Are there many other ways you can get hacked?
See, I'm a bits and bytes guy, so I'm going to break the thing down. If you talk about the mobile ecosystem, what does it actually comprise of? So right from the base when I start, so I'm talking about a mobile device, a device as such, which has something called the operating system which comes on top of it, which again has something called the applications which you download from your Play Store, your iStore or App Store, wherever. And that application essentially has a communication between the server. So, the connections essentially are either through your cellular network or through your Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or NFC in a very small way. And that gets connected to the server. And of course, the data stores and is processed on the server also, and you get whatever you're asking for in whatever place. Yeah. Now, there are multiple types of attacks which can happen. I would point out general misconception that people have around each one of these verticals that I talked about, which come together to form the IT ecosystem of the mobile phone. So first of all, people generally come to me and say, look at this, I got a $40,000 device, and it's like one of the most brilliant devices that you can possibly get in the market. And as we saw in the beginning of the show, remember, in this entire ecosystem, the end user or the server only controls, I would say, not even 50, but less than 50% of the total responsibility of the security of your data. Now, Facebook or WhatsApp as such, they are responsible for the security of the data which they have in their own servers, which is relatively, in my experience, I've seen, at a decent level, which is not easily breachable by a standard script kiddie sitting in a garage in some place. However, the other side is very, very juicy. That's where the other side of attacks, that's the client side attacks. One large misconception in the iCloud breach was that the iCloud itself was attacked, which is not true. So the iCloud was accessed by the celebrities, by their phones, by giving their passwords or whatever capacity.
I mean, the way you set up an iCloud,
the way you set up a
the whole
password.
world would set up any cloud service as a backup on your phone.
Right. So they did the same thing, and instead of attacking the iCloud on the server side, the hackers tried to breaching on the client side. So right from botnets, right from trying to monitor the traffic which is going on in what encrypted way, one of the normal generic attacks which are possible, instead of going into the attacks, I'll go layer by layer. So when I talked about the first part, that's the device and the operating system, because when you open a box, that's what you come with. Now, every operating system comes with their own exploits. I see, and most of the devices, I don't have these statistics, but they're using operating system for Android less than 4.0. So 2.3, 2.4, one of the most generically used softwares. And there are publicly available exploits where I don't need to be a classified or a professional hacker to get into your phone.
I think what's happened is between client, server, and everything else, you might have geeked out a little bit between you and me, but maybe not everybody got this.
Sure.
So what we're really saying out here is that there are operating systems that can be exploited. You don't need programming knowledge. You don't need to be an ethical hacker or any other kind. You just can get it freely. And when he says that they can be exploited, it means you can actually break into a phone with no knowledge other than the fact that you actually get that piece of software. And it comes with instructions on how to use it.
And we are just at the operating system. I mean, I've not even touched the tip of the iceberg. So we're just starting with the operating system.
Let's move down.
Let's move down on the application layer. I mean, application is like, wow, it's like, my eyes glow up when I talk about it. So why I'm saying this is the Verizon breach report of 2013 says that a major number of applications, and they actually went ahead and told 80% of the total applications in the Play Store are using your permissions which they should not be using, and misusing your personal data without you knowing it. In fact, the app that we saw in the beginning of the episode, that does the same thing. I mean, I'm taking the same amount of information that a WhatsApp takes from your phone. The only difference is I showed it to you on the screen, and they don't show it. They process that to give you customized ads, and they make products out of you and sell you.
Okay, so the OS can have vulnerability and can be easily used. App stores can actually have that, and if you know which kind, then you can actually use that as part of hacking into a phone. Are there more?
Absolutely. So when you talk about we're just starting. So that was the App Store, and that's the application layer. Now when you go on top, now apps need to connect. Nobody likes a dead offline app. Now you need to connect to the server. Essentially, there are two ways by which you connect in a generic way. One is either using the mobile network, or the other is using the Wi-Fi. The most generically, of course, I'm not counting the Bluetooth and the NFC. So when you talk about the network attacks which are possible, believe me, there's an ocean of attacks.
But isn't Bluetooth, the fact that you're ignoring it, one of the easy ways to get in? Because most people leave Bluetooth on, they don't really realize it. A lot of people use their phones in their cars, so they don't have a switch on, switch off protocol. And therefore, Bluetooth being on is an easy way to even install malware or a kind of a...
So there's something called blue snuffing.
Exactly.
That's the way in which you hack into Bluetooth also. But as the trend shows, and because they're already publicly, again, it becomes easy to get inside the phone using Bluetooth. There is no doubts on that. Of course, it depends on what you can do inside, depending on the operating system, the permissions which is there. So yes, Bluetooth is definitely one of the ways. However, the more juicy ways, because again the nerd kicks in. So that's where the network and that's where the Wi-Fi comes into the picture.
You know what's happening right now, I can tell you, okay? A lot of people out there are going, oh my God, and a lot of people are saying, wow, now I can see everything in my girlfriend's account. Now I can see, I mean, there are a lot of people right now considering coming to you right now saying, could you hack into my boyfriend's phone?
I get that on an everyday basis, and the stories, believe me.
But if you were to leave somebody with a piece of advice right now, what would it be?
One piece of advice is that the mobile has enabled us with tremendous opportunity, and there's no denying on that fact. But we need to use it intelligently to go to the next level, or we'll fall on the face of it.
Okay, let me just put this in the straight way. Delete those nude pictures. We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
I am the contrarian, and this is my world.